Cellular giant AT&T has stated that they will be compensating customers that were affected by outages last week that caused many to be without services for long periods of time. AT&T will be providing customers with a $5 credit that will be handed out within 2 billing cycles. Customers will not be able to use the credit on AT&T Business, prepaid service, or Cricket, the company's wireless service. The company stated on Thursday that the outage was the result of a coding error, not a cyber attack, as some have speculated. The outage started early Tuesday morning when 32,000 reports came in about outages and no service on various devices. At around 9 a.m., that number jumped to 75,000, but AT&T reduced most of that number at around 11 a.m. And Governor Gretchen Whitmer has announced numerous new cabinet members who take charge in a variety of positions. Most notably, Marlon Brown will become the head of the Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs as its permanent director. Alongside, Susanna Scarelli will serve as commissioner of the Michigan Bureau of State Lottery. Before serving as acting head before the permanent move, Brown was the chief administrative officer and oversaw the central services of the department. Scarelli currently serves as the director of juvenile justice reform at the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Scarelli addresses the systemic and persistent issues in the juvenile justice system and looks for reform. As commissioner of the state lottery, Scarelli looks to keep up with record results for education, with over $1.3 billion of lottery revenue going to children's education in 2023.
Lake Superior State University announced on Thursday the hiring of Dr. David Travis as their new president. He was appointed by the LSSU Board of Trustees during a special meeting and is set to begin his term on June 3, 2024. Dr. Travis is currently serving as the Provost and Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs at the University of Wisconsin-River Falls. His appointment to president at Lake State comes after a national search was conducted by the LSSU Presidential Search Committee. Dr. Travis is of Canadian descent and has experience with working in rural communities and international engagement. He will assume the role of president from current interim president, Dr. Lynn Gillette. Dr. Travis will be formally introduced as the 11th president of Lake Superior State University during a reception in April. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel is encouraging Michigan residents to file their taxes early this year to help prevent tax identity theft. Tax-related identity theft occurs when somebody uses stolen information to file a fraudulent tax return and claim another person's refund. The IRS usually informs victims of tax-related identity theft, but Nessel's advice to residents in Michigan is to file their tax returns early, use a secure internet connection if you're filing online, and send your return directly from a post office if you're filing by mail. Nessel is also encouraging anyone who are victims of identity theft to follow the steps put forth by the Federal Trade Commission and file a complaint. To file a complaint with the Attorney General or for additional information, you can call their toll-free line at 877-765-8388. And the shockingly warm winter has led to an interesting Berkey 50K this year. Jack Widener of Northern News Now was there to scope the scene out. Take a look.
There might not be much snow at this year's Berkey, but the stuff that is here is pretty slick. That, combined with the closed course, has made for a high-energy Berkey 50.
It's rare you go more than a few minutes without hearing a cowbell, and that's what we came for, Berkey fever, man.
Truckloads of man-made snow were used to form a 10-kilometer looped track. Consequently, many races were shortened.
I mean, almost didn't make the trip, but after racing this morning, I was really glad to get out there.
Only the elite wave of skiers went the full 50 kilometers. Most athletes, like Russell Weatherly, did 30.
I feel a lot more energized with that extra 20K you lop off, but there's nothing like ending in Hayward. Hopefully we get back to it next year.
The race is not exactly what skiers like Weatherly expected when they signed up many months ago, but the event's half-century anniversary meant the show had to go on.
I don't think I would have come if this was any other year but the 50th. To have, wish it could have been the full thing, but have the celebration and the pomp and circumstance around it definitely made the decision a lot easier.
Due to the closed course, spectators like Katie Vergerant got much closer to the action.
Different vibe being out here in the loop, but it's kind of fun. Pretty cool experience, and I'm glad they were able to pull something together.
Despite a lack of snow for this year's American Birkebeiner, there's no shortage of Berkey fever. In Cable, Jack Wiedner, Northern News Now.
Now don't touch that dial. Jackson Spencer will be right back with your weekend weather forecast, taking a look at those clouds right after this break.
It's passion that my grandmother gave me.
doing what we do. It's not easy. You don't need just years, but generations.
These artists use those family ties to stay grounded in the past, even as they open the door to the future.
Tonight at 9 on WNMU-TV.
Welcome back. I'm Jackson Spencer, here to bring you your public eye weather. Looking at the roof cam, there is no more snow, which is very disappointing, but the sun is peeking out a little bit, so that's pretty nice. And then moving on to the UP. In Houghton, it is 41 degrees, mostly cloudy. In Ironwood, 48 and sunny. Iron Mountain, 44, mostly cloudy. Menominee, 44 and sunny. And then moving over to Escanaba, it is 42 degrees and mostly cloudy. Manistee is 39 and mostly cloudy. Sault Ste. Marie is 36 and mostly cloudy. And in our lovely Marquette, it is 44 and mostly cloudy. And then in our current weather conditions, the winds are coming out of the south at 23 miles per hour with a barometric pressure of 29.54 inches and falling. And then for tonight, it'll be partly cloudy with a low of 39, winds coming out of the south-southwest at 10 miles an hour. And then for tomorrow, it will be mostly cloudy with a high of 49 and a low of 13, with winds coming out of the east, northwest, east at 15 miles per hour. And then looking ahead this week, on Wednesday, it looks like we're going to catch some snow with a high of 16, low of 10. Thursday, warming up a little bit with a high of 30, low of 25. Mostly cloudy skies. And then on Friday, it warms up to 48 with a low of 33 and sunny. That is all the weather I have. Move back to the news desk.
Thank you for that weather update, Jackson. Hopefully we'll be able to get out and enjoy those lovely skies before that cold front sets in on Wednesday. Jumping back into some more national news, Republican National Committee Chair Ronna McDaniel will leave her post effective March 8th as former President Donald Trump gathers support for another presidential nomination and gains more control of the party. Trump made it known earlier in the month that GOP President Chair Michael Whatley was his preference, a North Carolina veteran operative focused on voter fraud. The leadership change comes as the Republican Party shifts from the primary phase to the general election of the 2024 presidential race. While Nikki Haley is still in the running for the nomination, Trump hasn't lost a state in the primary calendar and could clinch the nomination as early as March. Haley told reporters that the GOP was turning into, quote, Donald Trump's playpen, end quote. And an active duty member of the U.S. Air Force has died after setting himself on fire outside the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C., while declaring that he will, quote, no longer be complicit in genocide, end quote. The man walked up to the embassy while live streaming on the video platform Twitch. The man then set his phone down while streaming, poured accelerant on himself, and then set himself on fire. The incident occurs while Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu requests cabinet approval for military operation in the southern Gaza city of Rafah while a temporary ceasefire is being drawn up. The Metropolitan Police Department in D.C. stated that officers responded to the incident outside the embassy and assisted the U.S. Secret Service in their bomb squad in examining a suspicious vehicle, but no hazardous materials were found in the vehicle. And the real estate market has slowed significantly because of rising loan costs. Elise Preston has a look at when homes might move again.
Americans are hoping for a spring thaw in the housing market. Rising mortgage rates and higher home prices have kept many would-be buyers on the sidelines.
When you have mortgage rates above 7%, it's really been a gut punch for the whole real estate market. And that's why there's so much focus on the Fed in this game of poker. When do they start to cut rates?
The current rate for a 30-year mixed loan is 7.5%, with the average home price hitting a record high of $379,000. Dan Ives of Wedbush Securities, a brokerage firm.
The housing market's essentially the standstill. I'll call it, it's a buyer's strike, and sellers, inventory is starting to increase, but no one's really signed on the dotted line.
Despite inflation slowing down, Americans are spending more than 11% of their income on food, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, a number not seen in more than 30 years.
What is your advice to the average consumer?
Yeah, my advice is we're going to see the Fed start to cut as we get into May and June. That's good for consumers.
Some good economic news. The nation's unemployment rate remains steady, with more people finding new jobs at the start of the year than experts predicted. Elise Preston, CBS News, Los Angeles.
After this break, we'll have a look at Patrick Kane's overtime goal for the Red Wings and more in your Public Eye Sports Breakdown. Stay tuned.
Let's take a little fishing trip, y'all. You and me going fishing in the dark, lying on our backs and counting the stars where the cool grass grows. Won't you dance? Put the load right on me.
Tonight at 9:30 on WNMU-TV.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. I'm Austin Graham, and this is your Public Eye Sports Report. Starting off on the ice, the Detroit Red Wings took down the Chicago Blackhawks last night in overtime, 3-2, in Patrick Kane's return to the Windy City. Before the game, the Blackhawks retired three-time Stanley Cup champion Chris Chelios' number, sending his jersey number 7 to the rafters. Daniel Sprong opened the scoring for Detroit in the first period, followed by a Mackenzie Entwistle goal for Chicago in the second. Alex DeBrincat tied things up late in the third off an assist from Patrick Kane, and in overtime, Kane scored the game-winning goal against his former club for the Wings, extending their winning streak to 5 games. Detroit now holds the first wildcard spot in the East, and they're not showing any signs of slowing down. Keeping things on the ice, the NMU men's hockey team split their final regular season road trip series with the Ferris State Bulldogs and still have a possibility to host a CCHA playoff series. The Wildcats took the dub over the Bulldogs on Friday night, 3-2, with goals from Artem Schlane, Grant Slakinski, and Matvey Kabanov. Fifth-year forward Andre Gontus recorded 2 assists, which led to him to reaching his 100 career assists in Friday night's win. Saturday's game was a totally different story, as Ferris State goaltender Noah Giesbrick stood on his head for the Bulldogs, blocking 26 of 27 shots and backstopping his team for the shootout win over the Cats. NMU will play host to Bowling Green State University this weekend for the final home series of the regular season as they prepare for the Mason Cup playoffs. And handing things off to NMU women's track and field, the Wildcats took 3rd place at the GLIAC Championships over the weekend, posting 97 points out of 9 teams. Northern snagged 2 podium finishes in the 60-meter dash, with Bo Truckee placing second with a time of 7.74 seconds, and teammate Tivia Williams trailing behind her, clocking in at 7.78 seconds. Truckee also placed 3rd in the 200-meter dash with a time of 24.58 seconds. Junior standout Elise Wolfrath took bronze in the 60-meter hurdles with a time of 8.68 seconds, adding to the Wildcats' point total. Up next for the Cats is the NCAA Indoor Championships, which will take place on March 8th in Pittsburgh, Kansas. So, Luke, I have to ask, did you get a chance to check out the Red Wings game last night?
You know, I did manage to catch some of that game, and boy, let me tell you, it was a poetry ending. You know, Patrick Kane coming into his hometown team, being the hero that he was, and getting to score that overtime win. You can't write it any better than that.
Right, it was almost like he was the anti-hero in a sense, right? Because that's like Chicago's worst fear.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. I'm Luke Middle.
I'm Austin Graham.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.
Thanks for watching today's episode of Public Eye News. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube down below or follow us on Instagram at NMU Penn to never miss a story.